just like a whip. A wave of kinetic force flows down through the whip all the way to the tip, and it explodes into the target. The end of this is even called a popper or a cracker. And this is the first invention of man that has broken the sound barrier. It actually explodes the air around it when it's cracked or popped. Kinetic energy builds in a wave and then crashes down explosively into the target. That's true for a whip, but it's also true for a punch, for a well-executed punch. Many people think that a punch is with your arm. That's wrong. What's more powerful, your arm or your entire body? I remember in the 80s watching a Mike Tyson fight, one of his first times that he fought. And he knocked a guy out with a right hook. And the commentators went wild, the crowd went wild at how much power he had. And they made a big issue of him punching with his whole body. Not just his arms, but he twisted his hips, his shoulders, his entire torso. It was put into the punch. And he knocked the guy clean out. Many times now we use the term body punching as opposed to arm punching. So this is something that's kind of been taken off in boxing lately. Probably many people have done it for a long time, but it really became emphasized a lot in the 80s. Even before that, the Chinese and Kung Fu talked about waveform. And it's the same concept of punching with your body, being loose, letting the power come through your whole body and into the target in a loose but a controlled and smooth fashion. Like a whip. That's why we calling this installment the whip effect. Modern scientists have been studying this phenomenon. There's a new field, a lot of people have been talking about kinesiology. And they make great issue of what they call kinetic linking. Some of them call it a kinetic chain, kinetic chaining. But usually it's referred to as kinetic linking. The reason they do that is because the idea of a body punch, using your whole body, the energy traveling from the ground all the way up into you and through your body, and lastly into your hand, is just like in the links of a chain. Each chain is interlocked and linked to the other one. And it goes down as a succession of links. The same thing's true for a punch. In the case of a whip, where does the motion begin? Does it begin in the tip? No, it doesn't. It begins in the handle. The handle creates the motion. The whip is flicked upward. And as it's done so, it creates leverage, and it floats the length of the whip. And when it reaches a crucial point, then it's snapped forward like a hammer driving nails in, and the energy goes down the length of the whip like a train going down train tracks. And this kinetic energy goes in a wave until it gets to the tip, and then it explodes through the tip into the target. So as this thing strikes the target, the energy finally reaches its culmination into the target to destroy it and do maximum damage. Your body is the same way. Where does the motion of your punch begin? In your fist? No. Your fist is like the tip of this whip. It's the last part of the equation, not the first part. That's a big mistake that many people make in punching. They think it begins and ends with the fist. That's wrong. This is the very last part of the striking whip. That is your fist. Now, if this whip corresponded to your body, then the handle would be your feet. The tip would be your fist. Matter of fact, your center knuckle. We'll talk about that in the next installment, the path of the whip. And we'll trace this down. But for now, we'll paint it in broad strokes and see this as your feet. This is your fist. So your feet begin the movement in a punch. When you punch, your feet are going to create the movement. And the energy is going to go up through your feet. Really, you're pushing off of the ground. You have a solid stance that we talked about in installment 2. So when you have your good stance, it begins there. And the power goes up through your feet, through your knees, through your hips, up through your back, twist through your shoulders, through your elbow, and in through your wrist, and into the tip of your knuckle, into your opponent. Then we're going to whip it right back, just like a whip. It snaps, and then it's going to strike its target, and it's coming right back. That's what it looks like. So it's not this. This is not a punch. It's this. Sir Robert, would you be so kind as to allow us to demonstrate a whip punch upon your noble brow, Sir Robert? Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't mind. I didn't think so. Now that's power as compared to this. Your arm can't do so much. But when you put your body, you have all the leverage of that, and it's a flowing, powerful hit. You're fast, you're powerful, you're deadly, you're strong, you have good technique. That's going to be a hard punch to contend with. In this installment, we talked about the punch as a whip. We talked about kinetic linking. But we talked about kinetic linking in broad strokes. I very quickly mentioned the energy traveling from each link to the next link and each different part of the body. But in our next installment, the path of the whip, we're going to talk about each individual link as it's going through your body and what should be happening in a more detailed fashion. So stay tuned. Installment 4 is coming. Be ready. Well, until our next installment, remember, the more sweat in the gym, the less blood in the ring. This is Todd the Wildcat Christopher at tacticalboxing.com signing off. I guess I have to get this down myself. Oh, you don't have any arms? Oh, you're going to make excuses your whole life, huh? Yeah. Okay. That's how you fail in life. Make excuses. I'm just getting myself.